Setting up live stream. Indulge me for a second. I'm going to just stick to the same routine. This is the SEC podcast, where every single podcast is a business meeting with a specific purpose and a specific outcome. Who the hell are we, and why the fuck should you listen to anything we have to say? The reason is I have an MBA securities license worth $50 million and above for decades. So you're getting the logic behind that success and the fact that we're on a system where we're going to have the highest quality percentage for NFL and college games. In between last week, if you listen to the podcast, if you're doing live, it was crazy. We did get it out there, but we gave you a 30-1 Kentucky Derby pick. So that means you put $100, you get $3,000 back. So basically, whatever flies out of my mouth or James's mouth is money in your pocket. So you're getting paid to listen to what we have to say. Now, James, I was thinking about James this week, and I was like, James the Prophet ATM. Because every Friday it feels like all I'm doing is listening to James and getting money back, right? Like an ATM. But he's better than an ATM. He's an ATM that's an investment product. He is, I gotta see last week. I was profitable, but sometimes things change. We're profitable overall. So before James talks, he is 48 out of 51 weeks of profit. It's good and bad. I mean, the good part is we make a lot of money. The bad part of it is that ignorance is bliss. So James is too smart. He's a cynical contrarian who gets ahead of the manipulation. Why? To put money in our pockets. So thank you, James, and tell us what happened last week.
Yeah, last week was a great week. It was the card in Perth, Australia. So started at about 1 a.m. Pacific time, ended around 6:37 Pacific time. But we were there, or we weren't there, but I was there watching it all night.
Yeah.
Generational performance from Carlos Prates. I was losing my mind at like 6:30 in the morning, and that was just a master class he put on. And we did get both of the main event, both the
Ooh,
co-main and main event correct, which is something that we have at times struggled with in the past, usually going
wow.
1-1, but got them both last
Jesus.
week. So we're on a good roll and we're just going to keep it going.
Yes, we are. We're going to keep it rocking and we're going to keep it rolling. That's the first fight we're going to look at, James.
Yeah. Up first, we're going to look at Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. And stats wise, they're pretty close. Clayton seems to have a slight edge across the board with a very similar strength of schedule levels. Ochoa does have a KO win over Cody Durden, who has proven that he can actually be a very difficult, especially for up and coming prospects like the both of these guys. So, with that being said, we are going to take the business play of Jose Ochoa's money line at minus 180. But if you're looking for a little more action, I do like the KO prop at plus 275.
Okay. Plus 175. Love it. And where's the fight? It's in the Apex.
No, this is going to be a double title fight night. So this is
Ooh,
going to
nice.
be, I believe it's just in Vegas.
But just in Vegas. Love it. All right. So it's not at the Apex. It's gonna be in Vegas, but maybe like
It's
at
going to be
that
at T-Mobile.
T-Mobile Center. All right. Yeah. It's easy, really, because it's places Dana White owns or
Oh,
has a
never mind. It's going
relationship.
to be in New Jersey,
Oh,
Newark
New
Center, New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Oh, okay. Mafia Central New Jersey, which is Mafia Central. Remember, uh Dana's not gonna get mad at me for saying this, but Dana, maybe he can clarify it. Maybe we'll have Dana on so he can clarify the record. But for what I know, Dana, you were part of the Walter Bulger crew, then you escaped to Vegas, and now you're back in New Jersey. If you show up there, let's see what happens. Uh, what's the next fight we're gonna look at, James?
Up next, we've got Basnagur Sursakev versus Jordan Santos. And Sursakev is currently 11-0, only going the distance a single time in those 11 fights. Whereas Jordan, out of his last three UFC fights, including Dana White's Contender Series, he has gone the distance all three, and he's even lost some of them. So we obviously are going to go against Jordan Santos here. And Sursakayev's last fight, he did win, beat Eric McConaughey by knockout, but he wasn't looking too great in that. I don't think he should be as heavy of a favorite as he is here at -6 to 1 favorite. But I think we can go ahead and take the best value play here, which would be Sursakayev to win by knockout at +100.
Plus 100 knockouts. All right. So I like looking into the camera. I'm listening to every uh, word James is saying, and I'm actually hanging on every word James is saying. So I like money. But when I'm looking away, I'm placing a $100 bet on each and every fight James does. Why? Because I have a huge profit and I'm ahead of the game. What's the next fight we're going to look at, James?
Up next, we've got Pat Sabatini versus Willem Gomez. And this one's real tough because Pat definitely has the better grappling stats. But Gomez has the superior striking. So we're getting a classic grappler versus striker matchup here. And in the past five fights, they were actually pretty impressive. Like Sabatini has wins over Chepe Mariscal, Johanderson Brito, and his real only notable loss here was to Diego Lopez, who has fought for the belt twice in the past couple months. So that's very impressive strength of schedule. And Gomez's strength of schedule is honestly weaker than that. Um, I do think that this fight's going to go the distance, and I think that's the best play here. If we hit just either fighter to win by decision, as long as the fight goes to the scorecards, we can cash it at -135 odds. We just have to hope Sabatini doesn't get the submission. But other than that, this should go the distance.
To go to this, and I like those. I like those kind of fights because I feel there's a trend. You agree, James? You're free to disagree because this is not a cult, right? This is about money. So uh, we disagree all the time, right? Because the focus is on profit. So, James, do you think there's a trend in the UFC for with more money involved means people are usually more cautious, err on the side of caution, so people take less chances, and that results in more fights going the distance.
Yes and no. I think that definitely does come into play just because if you lose, you're only getting half your paycheck. But ever since we
Right.
transitioned over to Paramount,
Right.
there's a lot more opportunity for finishing bonuses. If you get a knockout, you're getting at least another 25K on your paycheck. So
Got it.
there's more incentive to get a finish.
Right. Depending on your style, depending on your skill set. Uh, very, very interesting. So the UFC kind of noticed that and they made the adjustment. So that's how we make a lot of money as well. We make a lot of money with governance picks, right? Fundamental analysis, seeing how management thinks, and then going ahead and making money. All right. What's the next fight we're going to look at?
Up next, we're going to look at Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio. And this one has some potential here. Marco Tulio just has a little bit better stats across the board. And I was expecting Roman to have the much better strength of schedule, just 'cause I feel like he's been around longer. And I used to like him a lot and his style. But he does have some great experience against better levels of competition, but he has kind of an ugly record. However, he's not been knocked out yet, and Marco Tulio was knocked out in his last fight. I mean, it was to Gregory Rodriguez, who has incredible power and knocks out most of his opponents. So we can't hold that against him too much. And Kopylov also fought Gregory Rodriguez and lost, not by knockout. I think Kopylov does have these skills to win here. He just doesn't have the same power and he doesn't seem to have the same aggressiveness. So I think if Tulio can kind of put some pressure on him and get his good footing, he should be able to get this one done. And we'll go ahead and just take Marco Tulio money line at -185.
Minus 185, Mr. Tulio. Love it, James. What's the next fight we're looking at?
Up next, we've got Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon. And this one's going to be the battle of the Unks. Jared Gordon has a much harder striking volume, and Miller has the edge in grappling here for sure. So this is going to be another grappler versus striker matchup. Um, but Jim Miller's strength of schedule is just so legendary. He's been in the game so long. I'm pretty sure he has the most wins in the UFC out of anybody.
That's crazy.
He's been up against them both. He's been, yeah, he's just had such a great strength of schedule. And Jared Gordon, we picked him to win in his last fight. And then a couple days before the fight, he got hit by a car and didn't tell anyone so he could continue fighting. And so we ended
Gotta
up
love
losing
it.
that bet because he was
Right.
just being greedy like that. He wanted to
Yeah.
keep fighting. I mean, so we just really
Who knows
can't
what's
go with
going
him
on in
here.
that guy's mind, though? Something like
Yeah.
that, you never know what's going on in their head.
And so it just really makes me not want to pick him here. Um, and just the odds are crazy. Jim Miller being a plus 220 underdog, I feel like is a little disrespectful for such a crazy veteran in the game. So we'll
Right.
go ahead and just take Miller's money line. Although, excuse me, although the most likely outcome
Sure.
is Jared Gordon by decision at plus 100.
Plus 100. And again, this is a guy, and you got an edge on this, where Dana White does not care if Miller wins the championship, becomes a star, whatever. He just knows that when the man shows up, it's an entertaining fight. So you got to look for these guys who are going to lose a lot of fights, but they're entertaining. And we take advantage of that to monetize the situation. What's the next fight we're going to look at, James?
Yeah, up next, we've got Grant Dawson versus Mateusz Rebecki. And this one's real interesting because Dawson has great wrestling, but he has a glass chin. So Dawson is also going to have a 6-inch reach advantage here, as well as the submission advantage. While Rebecki would definitely have the advantage on the feet. He is very durable, very difficult to knock out, and he's had some good wars. I mean, he has a win over um, Mike Tykebeck Orobly, which is very impressive. He has very good wrestling himself. So we may be able to see him defend the initial takedowns of Dawson. And if Dawson starts to get frustrated, Mateusz Rebecki could have the potential to get his momentum going and really turn this around. I'm I like Mateusz Rebecki here as the underdog for money line of plus 130. And then if you want a little more action, I do like that KO prop of plus 250 because Dawson does have a pretty glass chin.
Now, part of this the entertainment factor. So the element of entertainment factor that James brings in is the fact that he has such a high percentage. He's giving you two plus bets. So that means you're watching the fight and you're betting these two plus numbers. It's a really good chance one of them is going to hit and you're going to monetize the situation and enjoy the fight. Man, you do not get that anywhere else. I forgot to say that in the beginning. You're getting information. You are not getting, number one, you're getting paid to listen to what we have to say. You might not like us, but you're going to learn to love us because we're the best thing going. And why are we the best thing going? Because we're giving you information you cannot get anywhere else. Love it, James. What's the next fight we're going to look at?
Yeah, up next, we've got Joel Alvarez versus Ruslov Osmasov. And I'm really excited for this one. I'm a huge Alvarez fan. That's twin right there. I really hope he wins this. I think he has the advantage in striking. He has much higher volume and accuracy. However, his opponent has incredible takedown accuracy and volume. Like this will end up on the ground at some point. Although Alvarez does have good submissions himself. This one's really interesting because they both have really pretty records. Um, Osmosov is 29 and 1,
Ooh,
29 wins and 1 loss. That's incredible.
damn. Yes.
That is likely why he's the favorite here. However, he has taken, I think, about 2 years off from the UFC
Ooh,
recently.
got
He's
it.
Ukrainian and he did enlist to help the defense.
Right.
So
I know
that
exactly what
could
you're
also
talking
be,
about.
yeah.
Yes,
And so that could be a very interesting kind of like plot or narrative point for
absolutely.
the UFC if he does come back after helping try to defend and liberate his country and then getting a
Right.
win. That would be like very sensational in the news. So they might push for that, but Alvarez is just so good. He's his UFC experience and his only loss in the UFC was to Armin Sarukian, who is top level guy. I mean, he's going to be a backup fighter at the White House card
Ooh,
for Taporia and Gaethje. So this very good, very high caliber strength of schedule. Um, I just can't believe he's the underdog here. So I think we have to take Alvarez money line at plus 160. And then me personally, just because I'm a fan, I can't resist the plus 600 knockout prop.
Plus 600 knockout prop. Love it. Now, James, let me ask your reaction to this. Yes or no, and then your reaction. At the White House card, there's an active shooter, and Dana White and Joe Rogan jump and take down the shooter and save Donald Trump. Would you think that's fake, or that actually possibly happen?
I don't know. I just hope it hits Cyril Gahn on accident.
Love it, man. What's the next fight we're gonna look at?
Yeah, up next, it's going to bring us to Ateba Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. And broad alert here. I mean,
Ooh,
Ateba Gutierrez is going to win. We saw him. They've been really just feeding him cans. They've been throwing lambs to the slaughter for Gautier to knock out. However, when he finally got a step up in competition, his last fight, he had some good shots off in the first round, and then not a lot of action happened rounds 2 and 3. And that actually went to the decision, like his first decision in the UFC so far. And so, because of that, I think they're worried to give him another step up in competition. So they're actually digressing him and giving him someone less difficult than his previous opponent. So I do think he will get the knockout here again. But incredible favorite. There's really no value anywhere. Even the
right.
round one knockout is still minus 150. So that's really the only thing there is for you to take. So
Love
this
it. I'll take
one,
it.
yep.
Right on there. No, no, I'll take it, man, because it's James. James is telling you that. So by this time, at least one of those plus money bets is hit. So I'll take what James is saying plus actually minus 150. What's the next one we're looking at, James?
Yeah, up next, we've got another unk off. We've got Bobby King Green versus Jeremy Stevens. And this one's pretty interesting because stats are very equal. Bobby does seem to have more volume, while Jeremy has more power. Jeremy has a lot of losses, but there are to mostly very good top tier guys like Oliveira, Holloway, Aldo, Zabit. The list quite literally goes on and on. He's another one of these guys similar to Jim Miller that's just been around the whole time and faced
Right.
off of all the greats. And Green was in a very similar camp. I don't know if his strength of schedule is quite the same level. I mean, like he was losing to guys like Jared Gordon. I recently got knocked out by Hoofy. But he is on a 2 fight win streak currently. And the most recent one was a upset knockout win over Daniel Zellhuber, which was incredibly impressive and earned him to be the favorite here. I do I do see Bobby Green likely winning this one. I think he's a much higher favorite than he should be. And Stevens does have the power and experience that he could crack and put Bobby Green away. I just totally see a narrative point of Bobby Green keeps winning while he's the underdog and he's not supposed to win. So when he
Right.
finally becomes the favorite and is supposed to win, he gets cracked and put away. So this one, I'm going to pick the alternate decision bet of Bobby Green winning by decision or Stevens winning by KO at minus 185.
All right. Minus 185, man. Win by KO. James is lights out. He's around 80 to 90% on bets that are minus 150 and higher. That's why I instinctually was like, yeah, I'm betting that. Why not? I'm gonna win 8 out of 10 times when James gives you a pick minus 150 to about 185. What's the next fight we're looking at, James?
Yeah, up next, we've got Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. And when this fight first got announced, just based off the Michael Morales versus Sean Brady fight, I was like, oh, Joaquin Buckley is obviously going to win this one and he's going to win it by knockout. But the more you look at it, and especially with that's also kind of what I thought about the Buckley versus Usman fight. And Usman is kind of past his prime, and Brady's just a different guy on the ground. I mean, he has some incredible submission wins over incredible guys. I think we are going to have to go ahead and stick with Sean Brady here at the minus 180 money line.
Minus 180 money line. Sean Brady. Next fight we're looking at, James.
Yeah. Up next, we've got Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. And Waldo Cortez Acosta is on an absolutely maddening tear right now. Just highlight real levels of activity with a notable knockout streak over Derek Lewis, Ante Delia, Shamil Gaziev. In hindsight, that last one might not be as impressive based off this last week that we saw in Perth. Gaziev getting knocked out again, just having no competitive energy. But Pavlovich's strength of schedule is just so much more impressive. Um, he is the one that broke, or excuse me, Alexander Volkov's strength of schedule is so much more impressive. He
Right.
was the one that broke Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey Pavlovich was a monster. I thought he was going to be champ of the division. He was just knocking everybody out and making it look easy until he faced Alexander Volkov, who systematically kept him at range, broke him down, and shattered his confidence. In his next three fights, you could just tell that Pavlovich was just never the same. He just wasn't getting the same highlight reel knockouts that he once was. Despite the current heat momentum that Acosta has, I think Alexander Volkov has all the tools he needs to get this one done. We'll go ahead and take his money line here at minus 142.
Minus 142, money line. Love it. Remember, that's James' sweet spot, 70 to 80%. What's the next fight we're looking at, James?
Yeah, up next brings us to co-main event of the night, Tatsuro Taira
Nice.
versus Joshua Van, our boy of the pod.
Nice. Nice. We got to get him on here. Joshua Van, I'm going to get on. It's just a big project I have. And I never want a project like that ever again in my life. So we're going to build this up to replace that time and income. So we're going to get the Joshua Vans, the Dana Whites, the Joe Rogans, uh, anybody, the highest people you can think of that are non-political. We're going to get them on here. Uh, so very excited about that. Now the co-main events, the Pantheon, whatever that's called. Regardless of that, $2,000 if you want James's notes, so you can listen to the podcast, watch us on video. Weekly notes are $500. The co-main event and the main event picks are now for the Substack subscribers that we're going to pay more attention to now. But we're getting you great. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't pay attention to you because we gave you a 31, 30 to 1 pick last week. All right. So, and that's the thing. When we give you information, it's actionable information, but no bullshit, actionable information to put in your pocket, right? And losers can't process that. Why? Because they're losers. They're always losing. They have no money. They're negative. So, what's the main event and the co-main event, uh, James?
Yeah, so
Set it
co-main
up.
event, we've got Tatsuro Taira versus Joshua Van. And this one's so difficult to decide because all throughout his career, we've been talking up Joshua Van since
Right.
before it was cool to talk up Joshua Van. We've picked him for every single fight of his career, essentially, that we've covered on the show, except for his last fight against Pantoja, where we unfortunately did pick against him. Of course, you have to pick Pantoja in that situation. And
Right.
it just made me laugh that the one time that we did pick against him, he still found a way to pull it off. A lot of
Right.
people call it a freak accident. They call him the paper champ right now because he technically won the fight
Right.
only because Pantoja dislocated his shoulder within like the
Right.
first 10 seconds.
I
Not
remember that.
really any punches or strikes, kicks, nothing were thrown. So he's faced a bit of backlash for that, but he's very young. I would totally be celebrating too and embracing my role as champ.
Right, right, right.
Um, again, he has incredible boxing. He's been on a crazy tear. His only real notable loss was to Charles Jourdain. I guess we did pick against him in that one too. We've only picked against him twice. He's our boy here over here. But yeah,
Nice.
and on the other side, Tatsuro Taira is a very good, not as he doesn't have as crisp boxing. He's still a very good striker, but he has like more agility, I would say. What we're really going to be seeing here is the grappling and kind of wrestling from Tyra. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Joshua Van deals with that. Because I think he definitely will have the better, crisper boxing. And we'll just kind of get to see what we didn't get to see in the Pantoja fight with all the wrestling and grappling involved. So this one is going to be very exciting. I'm very hyped up and amped for this fight. Can't wait to see how it goes.
I'm up for two. I need a mental break. We got the NBA playoffs. Uh, if I have enough research, that's the thing. We don't give you something unless we're betting it ourselves and we've researched it. Okay. So if I've done enough research, I'll give you the NBA, but we have enough MMA, right? so you can kick up your feet, forget about your problems. But at the same time, you're making money, right? So go ahead and keep your wife or girlfriend off your back. Make money with Jason's picks and use it for DoorDash to order food and drinks for the people at your house. So they don't mess with you as you're forgetting about your problems, watching MMA, watching the NBA playoffs, maybe watching a little bit of baseball. All right. What's the main event? Set the stage for that, and the subscribers will get those picks.
Yeah, for the main event of the evening, we've got Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev. And this one is going to be hopefully absolutely nuts. This has had one of the most insane buildups in almost any UFC fight in the current era. I saw just at the press conference, I saw people posting clips and talking about how there was over 200,000 live viewers of that just for the press conference, which we haven't seen numbers like that since like the McGregor Khabib days. So this is incredible. At the press conference, they had to have many armed like police officers, SWAT
Ooh.
team guys to be able to keep Strickland and Chimaev over each other
Wow.
at the press conference. Nobody else got to say a word. It was just Strickland and Chimaev just going at it the whole time. We even saw them. We even saw Kamzat try to attack Strickland, and he actually kicked him and connected with his knee, which is pretty dirty move considering that
Jesus.
Strickland already has bad knees and
Right.
Kamzat is a very heavy wrestler. And so a knee injury before the fight would be a severe detriment. Um, this is going to be very interesting. Both have been champ before. Sean was previously champ, and he was the underdog in the fight that won him the belt against Izzy. Nobody thought or believed in Sean at that time, and he was a very similar underdog to what he is now. I believe he's plus 425. Very similar odds, and he pulled off that upset. However, Kamzat in his last fight was total domination. It was not a very exciting fight. He didn't really do any damage or get any damage off, but he absolutely just held Dricus du Plessis down on the mat for about 23 minutes out of a 25 total minute fight time. So he absolutely held him to the ground and couldn't Dricus couldn't do anything about it. So this will be real interesting. This is going to be a very heavy wrestling matchup
Right.
versus Strickland, who's known for his kind of very stand-up Philly shell boxing. So this one, another one, maybe stylistically is going to be as exciting stylistically as Tatsuro Van, but there's a lot of bad blood here. So it'll be real exciting just for how much these guys hate each other.
Right. That brings entertainment. So, what is your reaction on this? Because it could go one or two ways when it's personal like that, right? Where you get too emotional and you're not focused on technique, and that's the quickest way to get yourself knocked out or somebody put you in a hold. Or what happened to that one girl, right? Where she got clocked and then choked. That's still a great move, man. I wish I could do that. Just punch somebody and then within a half a second, because it wasn't even a second, she choked her out, right? It was lights out. The ref had to pull her off. Uh, so that should happen in a second, right? And that's the thing about UFC that I like about UFC. I like your reaction because it doesn't matter. You could be totally ripped in shape, sprinting 6 miles, and a 4-year-old kid could come and kick you in the nuts, and you're fine. That's the MMA, right? So what's your reaction to that as we close it down this week?
Definitely. So I'm really hoping, especially, I'm hoping that Kamzat has the energy he's claiming so we don't get a repeat of the last fight. I'm
Right.
really hoping if, since there's so much bad blood, if he gets in a dominant position, he does something with it. Or maybe he'll be want to strike with Strickland because of the
Right.
bad blood. He wants to shed the kind of cowardly wrestler persona. And also, Sean, I think Sean is very good in his headspace this time. In his
Yeah.
last title defense against Dricus, he was really in his head. The trash talk was clearly getting to him. Dricus was in his head, but I don't think Hamzat is in Sean's head. I think Sean is much more in control of his emotions this time, and I think that'll be an advantage for him as well.
All right, very good. I love it, man. A lot of fun, a lot of good stuff happening. Uh, the last thing we're gonna ask you, James, is before we close, is your degenerate gooning, 500 pound, his mom's basement, lazy, doesn't want to work. All he does is play video games and bets UFC fights, right? So what is that degenerate loser, uh, waste of space, waste of air, living in his mom's basement, parlay?
All right, here it is. This one's the one that we shoot past the moon and for the stars for. We're going to start it out with Jeremy Stevens to defeat Bobby Green by knockout for plus 600. We're going to parlay that with Sean Brady to defeat Joaquin Buckley by submission for plus 300. And then the last leg on this is going to be Jim Miller to win by decision at plus 500.
Plus
This one is going to
500.
total up to plus 16,700. Just $5 on this gets you somewhere around, it was around like 600, eight
Oh,
hundred
nice.
dollars
Hey,
So,
no, that's pretty good. That's good. They'll pay you out that.
yep,
Sometimes if you're saying, "Oh, I made 18,000," really? Did you make 18,000? Because you're gonna have to be on the phone with DraftKings for an hour. What an hour, and they might not even pay you. They'll figure out a way not to pay you, right?
yep,
Like if people, oh, you can bet on the war until you win.
yep. $10 on that pays out 1,600.
Love it. $10, play 1,600, and they'll pay you, right? Those people who paid on the Ayatollah, they're like, hey, where's my $1 million? No, wait a second. The Ayatollah was hit by a bomb, and you bet that he was going to leave during the war. Sorry. Whatever. So it's not just winning, it's getting paid, right? And unless you're part of royalty, you might get screwed on the payout. But if you're steady Freddy like we are, now we are, James and I, 50, let's say 49 out of 52 weeks of profit. Right. So that means that if you want to become independently wealthy, you take James's picks, bet them individually, and your money will be saved. Thank us for you getting paid to listen to us on the ESPC podcast network.